Hi, everybody. For this episode of Retention Zone, I'm happy to have with me my friend Mota, who's, I think, in Barcelona, but I'm not sure now.
No. So I'm actually in Switzerland today. So not
Okay.
today. Yes, yeah. So I'm at home in Switzerland, a little bit in the mountains. So in the sunny weather of Switzerland today, we didn't have a lot of sun this past few weeks, but it's all good. I'll give you a little bit of my story. I used to play professional basketball in Brazil, and growing up, whether I was going to be an athlete or not, I always wanted to be working in sports. If I wanted to be a doctor, if I would have been a sports doctor. If I was in tech, it would have been a tech related to sports. So luckily, my path took me to Switzerland around 14 years ago, where I started working with several federations, mainly in tech, where I led the FIVB, where actually we first met on their digital journey. And now I am the chief information officer of Next Sports, where we're helping different sports entities in their innovation journey, in their digital transformation journey, from designing it all the way to implementing it.
And yes, it's true. We met on the beautiful hill of Lausanne, correct?
Yes.
There are a lot of vineyards around in the old building of FIVB, Federation of Football, when basically we're working on the strategy together, and what is now World Volleyball, in terms of digital touchpoints, was kind of originated, right?
Yes, definitely. No, I remember that day because we were at the beginning of the journey of direct to consumer, the beginning of the journey of going into the streaming, but the paid streaming business. And we brought in the experts to come and discuss with us on how do we go about it, whether it's from a product side, marketing side, and what do we need to look out for. And it's quite fascinating what happened these past years, how it grew, whether not only within volleyball, but also we see as well FIBA that launched into it. We saw different as well and federations, media partners that launched themselves into the direct to consumer and the streaming business. And you can see that there's a lot of learnings. There's a lot of changes every few years about it, and it's quite interesting to see that.
Yeah, and I was, to be honest, I was on stage on Monday. I was on stage with the team from League One that just did the launch of League One Plus. All of a sudden, in a month, it's crystal, but it's working. So, I mean, that's I think there were moments in the last few years where everybody wanted an OTT, and we are talking about owned and operated in sport or broadcast. And then nobody wanted an OTT, and now it's coming. I mean, these are cycles, I think.
Yes, definitely.
How have you seen this? What is your observation from your point of view of what happened in, especially obviously we're talking about streaming, subscription base, etc., and especially the direct to marketing aspect, direct to consumer marketing aspect.
Yeah,
is crucial.
So at the inception, there were two main drivers of several sports entities to jump on the direct to consumer journey, but also on the streaming journey. On one hand, you had the media rights. There was a bit of shakeup into it a few years ago, where it became a little bit more and more difficult to sell the media rights. You had to make a lot of efforts, but also the revenues were not as guaranteed and as prominent as in the past years. So that the sports entities needed to find a solution on how do we generate new revenues that we can control, that we're not also dependent on that. The second one is there was as well in the past 10 to even 12 years, you've noticed it, that there was a lot of sports entities that poured a lot of effort on social media, on content production, And then there came to the realization that we're actually developing the business of the big entities like the Facebooks and the Metas and all of that. And we don't know really, or we don't have a direct connection to the consumer, to the fan. And that was the second big push to how do we create owned and operated platforms that can control end to end the consumer journey or the fan journey at this stage, and how do we have it? So there was a lot of OTTs that were launched. There was a lot of direct to consumer platforms that were launched. There was a lot as well of, I mean, in your past experiences, you've seen there was a lot of as well revamping of sites, of ecosystems, and to cater.
Luckily enough, yes.
To cater to this, and there was a lot of investment. And then now and that was the peak of it. And then you mentioned that there was a drop, and now it's coming back. The drop, it was mainly because there was so much investment in it from a platform perspective, from a technology perspective. But then there was also the realization of there's an effort to be, and a structure to be put around marketing, around customer service, around consumer, around CRM, around data management. So it basically needed a structure underneath it to power that direct to consumer. And for them to come to that realization, and then now there's an uplift on this side of things, because now more and more entities are becoming more sophisticated on this, and also tech is becoming a little bit more accessible to do these.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. My impression, because it was my learning curve, there was an underestimation of what it means for this type of organization from a pure B2B and traditional business to become a direct-to-consumer business, which is not something you do, you go online, do 2 courses on how to do direct-to-consumer marketing, and you do it. And also, as you said, the people, the mentality. But now, and also, I think more and more, which could be true except for the top sport properties. There were always the concept of black market, etc. The markets. There was always the concept of what happens to the next cycle. So I think it's maybe not an easy journey, but and you have more direct experience. The organization that did this journey, even if painful, they maybe started to see the results in these years. I mean, before it was like.
Absolutely. So the biggest as well shift in this new era is as well that the consumers are becoming a lot more demanding. Right. So when you a few years back, you could take a stream, regardless of the quality, put a paywall, and people would pay if they're really hardcore. And then now they're becoming a lot more demanding. They expect an experience. They expect good customer service. They expect no lags, which you talk about a lot as well on the streaming quality and drops. And we saw some experiences in there. But they also expect, if I'm paying for something, I need more than just watch. I need a little bit extra. And this is where sort of like the data strategy comes into place. So with volleyball, we learned that quite during the journey. We made some decisions where we learned on them, and we had to optimize. Even now with some current clients as well that we work with, we're seeing that there's a change in behavior from the fan perspective, a change in behavior internally, and a change in behavior in the ecosystem of the sport. It started off with, okay, let's build the platform. Now we need to promote it and push it, and now we need to create the content for it, and it's a new output for this. And like what we were discussing this right before the podcast is, we need to bring 3 areas or 3 or 4 areas that never in the past spoke to each other. They did things independently, but now they need to work cohesively on one plan, which is, and have one focus, which is the consumer. You need to bring the tech guys together. You need to bring the product guys together, the data, And then the two, let's call them the fuel to this engine, is the marketing and the content team. And they all need to work cohesively in that part. And that's what actually with volleyball, it worked really well. And you see now the successes that they're having, and with Volleyball TV and their OTT, where you see that they built this journey because the entire engine that is fueling the direct-to-consumer platform is working in a sort of like an orchestra. And then on top of that, you need to work very, very closely with the person that is selling the media rights, because otherwise you need to be aligned on the rights. You need to be aligned on where you geo-block, where you don't geo-block, because you want that where do you make as well the sacrifices on do I not sell and block this region and make sure, and I get it for me for direct to consumer, because I will generate a lot of business from it, or do we sacrifice this one because we know that the ROI on this one is going to be completely different? So these conversations need to happen on a regular basis between the two, the different people.
And so, as you said, you learn very soon that working for a paying customer, it's so much different than developing or managing digital touchpoint that have an audience. Right? It's a very vague concept. People that will use users. We use the term user in the beginning, right? Now, in this kind of businesses, you have paying customers or potential paying customers. So it's all about managing the funnel, but I think the thing and that's why this exists, the thing that fascinated me the most is, even before realizing that the real money, retention is crucial for the real money and sustainability of platforms. But the fact that how do you retain customer is the crucial, question. And every case is a bit different, but what is your experience there?
Absolutely. So I actually heard this recently from in a conference from Frank Lenders from FIVB.
Yeah,
he mentioned. He said, and rightfully so, it is easier. Not that it's easy. It is easier to capture new clients than retaining current clients. So because capturing new clients and capturing new users and creating them there and bringing them to your platform, there's some novelty to it. You can create promotions, you can create content for them to sign up and register. You can create free trials and everything. There's a lot of mechanisms that you can do. But the work happens once you have them inside your ecosystem. Because how do you retain them? How do you make sure that they continuously see value in what you're offering? And this can apply to a D2C business or even to a B2B business. But if we look at D2C businesses, it's extremely important that the value proposition and the retention strategy that you have is extremely solid. That is powered by data, that you know who you're talking to, you know their profile, you know what they like, you know what they don't like, you know who they are, where they come from. Do they like to be talking to in their own language, or are they okay for you to talk to them in English? Do they prefer streaming, or do they prefer over-the-top content? This will make sure that when you are trying to make someone pay again, is extremely important for you to know. So the retention is now a lot more crucial than in the past, because even when you think about it, the past few years when they launched the OTTs, a lot of these entities were collecting a lot of data, a lot of first-party data. Now they're sitting on all this data and they're realizing, okay, so now what do we do? And this is sort of where, and this is where sort of and this is where the fun part happens as well, is that you want to make sure that people come back and you want people to check out the new things that you're launching. Maybe you launched a streaming, but then now you launched a shop, so you want to do some cross-selling. So this is sort of where I think the importance is there.
And in terms of what are the techniques that you have seen applied at work? Again, it depends. Sport also has complexity that don't always you can guarantee a constant flow of content depending on the competition. But clearly, content is one component. But then the relationship, so customer service is one angle. The fact that the product, works well. In the end, do you think engagement is like the number one priority, or there are a lot of ways that retention is crucial? You need to make sure the payment works everywhere, so that if you're a global entity, like for example, take volleyball, but many others, you need to make it easy to be able to pay. What is the recipe? If you have to put few ingredients in a retention strategy, what are the top recipes?
So your first
easy question.
easy question. Yeah. But if you think about what we mentioned, that so if we think about the 5 areas that need to work together, right? The tech and product, data, content, and marketing. Let's start with the first one, which is the foundation, right? Your tech and product needs to be extremely solid, needs to be frictionless. So when someone signs up, it needs to be very quick, very easy. You cannot have buffering, you cannot have lags. The experience as well, even when you go on any of the platforms, it needs to feel familiar as well to the different platforms that people are using. Everybody has, or majority of people have, a Netflix account. It needs to be that intuitive for them to be able to click and watch and see what's next and what are the recommended content for that. So the first pillar is I don't want to use these buzzwords, but it needs to be a pain-free experience for a user to go in, log in, pay, and have and consume content. That's point number one. So whatever you do, invest on your UX and invest in your tech infrastructure to make sure that you don't have a problem now or even in 3 years. That's extremely important. Then when you look at data, it's important as well that while you're building the product, you're able to look at what are the different types of data that I'm collecting. Because you can collect everything, but there are certain things that you want to just really focus on, which is, are people spending a lot of time for them to sign up? Are they spending a lot of time on which content? Where am I losing them? Where they come from? And where do where do they drop if you're doing streaming, for instance? Where do they drop at which point in time? Do they drop at the beginning of the stream? Do they drop as soon as the last match point happens? So you know as well where your engagement is. So even it will impact your VOD strategy. Then on content and marketing, you need to make sure that you're localized. So this is sort of where we notice that you can do a global campaign, but when the beauty of D2C is, but it's also the pain of it, is that you need to adapt your communication to the different regions. So for instance, if you're very focused on Thailand or very focused on Japan, for instance, which are 2 key markets, they're very used to OTTs, you need to make sure that you're adapting the content to them, speaking their language, localizing the content so they're able to consume, but also localizing the platform as well. So if you have the platform as well in Japanese, it will increase your retention. And this is sort of, I think, so if we go back, it's like the pain-free specific data that you collect. Not all data matters in this scenario. And then localization. Those are the 3, I would say, ingredients for at least kicking it off on the journey in the right way.
So we didn't mention AI until now as one of the few podcasts that reach minute whatever.
Yes.
But and I don't want to start the Gen AI discussion on content because it's Hollywood. In terms of as you mentioned, data and marketing, I know there are already tools that are used heavily AI, but I think it seems that AI can help a lot, especially trying to understand not only patterns in the behavior, etc., but also orchestrate what to do. Because it's great to have data, it's great to have insight from data, but if you don't actions, why are we doing this for vanity metrics and the end of the year reports? No, I don't think in 2025.
I was actually as well talking to one of our architects, and he gave me the analogy of, how do you, because right now the trend of Gen AI is, okay, can I take my data, connect it to a LLM, a large language model, and have a conversation with it? Okay, in principle, theory, it works. It could work. But you need to think of it as, if you hire someone new and you bring them to the office and you take all the documents that you've had in the past years and you drop them on their desk and told them, learn about the company, they will not know where to start. And it's the same concept for an LLM or a Gen AI. So this is where, as well, being targeted on your data strategy needs to be. So can I create a data warehouse? So I'm collecting all this data from my D2C. Can I create a data warehouse? But I don't need to put all the data for the LLM to interact with it, so I can make some actions on it. And this is sort of where we're seeing that the transition and the benefits of Gen AI when it comes to, at least on the data strategy, how we're currently implementing it is to provide insights, but provide insights, the work needs to happen a little bit before on your data structure and strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think we should be prepared for in 2026 in this area? Do you have something you're studying? I mean, what's the next thing that I'm not asking prediction, because I think scenarios are.
So I'm seeing quite a lot of investment in AI strategy. And people trying to figure out, okay, how do we integrate AI in the enterprise on a different levels, on how can it be transversal, and what are the specific, let's say, use cases that can be automated or used for agentic AI or used for just simple generative AI. And this is sort of the main area that we're seeing this year. Next year, I think we're going to see a lot more adoption of these use cases, not in full scale. We're going to see them in few concepts being fully implemented. No longer POCs as well. No longer proof of concepts. I think the concept of the proof of concept era is past now. And now people are trying to see, okay, we know that this can bring us value on the AI side. Can we do a lot more? And then on the streaming and the D2C side and on the OTT side, I will see I see a sort of almost like a calibration of the different direct-to-consumer businesses and consolidation. And you'll see, I think there's going to be a lot more consolidation of this, because even now broadcasters are heavily investing in their digital output and then their D2C consumers. So from a rights perspective, it will also become more interesting, because they could buy rights for their main free-to-air channel, but they also could be buying rights for their direct-to-consumer business. And this is sort of where we're going to see a little bit less verticals and a little bit more consolidation of these businesses.
Yeah, and one thing that I notice is that we start to have companies that are putting on the market products that are ready to use, maybe need little customization, so that every time you want to launch it, you don't have to, create everything from scratch, or almost. It starts to become, okay, I need a video platform. Either I take an end-to-end, or maybe for the lower tier to a solution already preferred. Or if I want to go best in breed, it's becoming more, I put the right blocks together, and as they are new product, they are modern. They already have AI. So because I think we were always in a moment where before we had to do everything custom, which is very painful. The moment that you describe when people were putting together, they did a lot of investment because either there were very simple platforms that were not customizable, or you had to spend a lot of money. Now I think if you're putting together these models and there are good companies for the different parts, it's becoming easier. And,
yes,
I think there may be a rebirth of online operated OTT. We'll see. We'll see.
maybe we'll see. Yeah, for sure.
So obviously, we didn't invent the term retention in streaming and subscription. Retail, I mean, there are a lot of experts that possibly have nothing to do with streaming about retention of customers. Have you seen it applied in our industry, in sport media business, outside of streaming? I see it more and more, but I mean, I'm less active.
Absolutely. So the ones that have used even the term retention in the past years, you're looking at clubs in general, whether they are football clubs, basketball clubs, tennis clubs, any type of clubs, because you're buying a membership, or you're buying a ticket, or you're buying a season ticket, and that club needs to do everything in their power to make sure that the experience first is great, but also that person renews year on year. And we've seen that in history in the past. So how they could integrate this. The current challenge now that we're seeing actually in that space that is outside of streaming is how can you consolidate the different activities that you have. So if you look at the club, they would have the ticketing section, they would have the merchandise section, they would have the concession section, and they would have, the parking section, let's call it. And each one of them will work independently. But now, with a lot of implementing a data strategy and implementing a data framework is a lot easier than in the past, where it actually cost affordable. They're able to consolidate this. So I'm a football club. I'm able to understand the moment that you bought. When do you come to the stadium? When do you leave? If you purchased a jersey or not, and if you had popcorn, right? And if I know this, then I'm able, the next time you come, to actually improve that experience, or maybe upsell you on, hey, by the way, we've seen you come for the past 5 matches. Here's a free ticket for the hospitality lounge, for instance. And this is how you create retention and you create these things.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot more of this. But the benefit and the advantage that they have is that they have historical data from other sources. That the ones that launched it only on streaming do not have. And this is sort of where the differences that you'll see in the market now.
Yeah, and streaming become parts of the ecosystem, basically.
Exactly. It's just another source of data. It's another source of complementary offering.
Yeah. And by the way, just to finish, yesterday I was at an event where someone on stage said, talking about loyalty, said, loyalty for a club is easy. I mean, I'm a Torino fan. My dad was, my granddad. My son is not, but forget that. But the problem is retention. So it's loyalty to pay or to pay, to engage and or pay you something. That is totally different game, especially in this moment where there are so many things to do.
Absolutely. I'm like you. I'm a Flamengo fan. Football. I will buy their jersey. I will go to their matches. But maybe the moment that they start losing, I don't know. But I will still. but no. But I will still follow them. I will still. So they have me, right? But can they? I think the difference is can they extract more value from me? As a fan,
but they should start giving value first.
Exactly.
I think that's what I'm always telling people.
Exactly.
But in general, I think I sorry, as we discussed and because of the conversation of the last few days, I see maybe a triangle where there is loyalty, fan engagement, and retention. So the triangle of buzzwords. I'll need to work on that.
Exactly. Definitely.
Va bene. So thank you for your time, Mota, and enjoy Switzerland in the sun then.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carlo. Thank you for having me. And hope to see you soon in person.
Yeah, grazie. Ciao.